The Suns winning in a sweep, but also Chris Paul advancing to another conference final now for him, and what a story really it has become, what he's been able to do, not just in Phoenix, but it seems like in all of his stops, he raises the culture in these franchises now. What are you hearing around the league about maybe if it is an appreciation for Chris Paul at this stage of his career? And I feel like I'm one person that thinks that if there's anybody to root for to get to the finals, he's one guy you're rooting for.
Yeah, listen, he was a player who, when you consider where Chris Paul stands in the history of the game at his position, who the last thing for him was to break through and win big. He's been to a conference final, but now the chance to take a team to the NBA final, something he hasn't done. I just think there's a tremendous amount of appreciation, respect for Chris Paul. And I think it gets, it's funny, people talk about, people wrote him off, and I think it was his contract. I don't think people ever wrote Chris Paul off or didn't say Chris Paul was still an elite player in the league. The question was he still a player who matched up with a contract in the 40s, 44, 45 million, wherever that deal is this year? And certainly he answered that question. But it's funny, when you think back to the offseason and that trade to Phoenix, the Suns had to be convinced to do that trade. Chris Paul wanted Phoenix a little more in the early stages of that than they wanted him. He saw the roster there close to L.A. where his family is, and Oklahoma City and his agents had to sell Phoenix on the idea, really, that he would be the final piece to that. I'm not sure the Suns thought, and now, listen, it was taking a lot of money on, there's no question, and that's always been something with Robert Sarver, that people question his commitment. But once they were convinced in Phoenix that he could dramatically improve that team, I don't know if any of them saw this coming. We saw them as a playoff team. He would be able to get Phoenix into the postseason. But I think even in Chris Paul's wildest imagination, I don't know if he thought, hey, we could be a team in the Final Four of the NBA playoffs, and here they are.
Well, he's set to make $44 million next year for the 2021-2022 season. Is there any chance with the way he plays, if they get to the finals, or who knows, even better, could he get an extension at 36?
Absolutely, and I think that's the hope. And he could opt into his contract and add years onto it. He could opt out, become a free agent. Phoenix makes all the sense in the world. I think with the success they've had, and that it's hard to imagine him going anywhere else. It's going to be like anything else, Jay. It's going to be a negotiation. But certainly there are other teams who have need at point guard, who have cap space, but none of it makes sense if you're Chris Paul. And for Phoenix, for their fan base, it's hard to imagine a scenario where they don't work out an extension. I would be surprised if he went into the last year of his deal. I don't think they'll have to do that, but that's certainly one to watch here. They're going to have to pay some people in Phoenix. Mikal Bridges is probably a $20 million a year player. DeAndre Ayton is up for his rookie extension. I'm sure they're going to want a max. And so all of a sudden, there's going to be a cost to this for Robert Sarver, and then we'll see his commitment to be able to keep this thing going in Phoenix.
Woj, Game 4 tonight, Clippers take on the Utah Jazz. Is Donovan Mitchell going to be available? What's his status?
Yeah, he's fine. He tweaked that ankle in Game 3, but he could have gone back into the game. They were down 15, 16 points late, and Quinn Snyder just decided we're gonna keep him out. There wasn't enough time really to think you could make up that difference. But he's a go. Mike Conley Jr. continues to be out with that hamstring injury. They've listed him as doubtful for Game 4. I don't get the sense yet that he's really close to returning, so Utah has had to play without him. We'll see if he's upgraded for this game, but I get a sense that he's still a little bit away.